Part 10. Fatal collisions. One day we will all return to our spiritual home, of that we can be assured. However, the manner of how we leave this earth and where we arrive varies with each individual. Many leave the body unexpectedly and tragically, as Mike did in Vietnam. Unfortunately, many more people die in car accidents. As an intermediary between the spiritual and earth worlds, I have been impressed with many thoughts of those who have passed by accidents. Why this occurs needs to be explained. First, there are no accidents. Such incidents are the direct results of the spiritual law of cause and effect, or karma. Let me describe what I mean. A person goes to a party and makes a conscious decision to drink alcohol. After he is sufficiently intoxicated, he decides to call it a night and drive home. At the same time, a couple are returning home after seeing a movie. The inebriated individual's vision is blurred, and he does not see the oncoming 103 car until too late. Unfortunately, he rams right into the couple, and they die instantly. In this scenario, the death is a result or effect of this man's decision to drink. His intoxicated impairment is the cause of the accident, and he is responsible for ending two people's lives. This is a karmic situation. A balance will have to be played out in another lifetime because the couple have died. In other words, all our actions are repaid in kind, positively or negatively, in this life or another lifetime. The law of cause and effect is a natural, immutable law of the universe, and there is a resolution to every experience by way of karmic action or the grace of God. What appears as an accident, or even a natural disaster, is not always what it seems. Nothing happens by chance. Not only are things based on karmic obligations, but a soul, or a group of souls, makes an agreement in spirit before entering the physical world. Everything in life occurs as part of a spiritual plan. All of life is about learning from our experiences. In order to learn the fullness of life, each soul has to experience it all. Therefore, along with the positive, a soul must go through a negative experience. One must learn the duality of nature. It is through the negative that the positive is appreciated. With this in mind, certain souls agree in spirit to James Van Praagh 104 experience a natural disaster, or a plane crash, and agree to leave their bodies in this manner. Is this a conscious decision? No, I don't believe it could be. Our egos would not allow this type of harm to our bodies. Another way to look at disasters and accidents is this: these souls may be finishing past karma from another lifetime. Then, too, is the question, was this accident or disaster in some way a help to others? In other words, how were family and close friends affected by this person's death? Will they have a clearer insight into love and an appreciation of life? Will the passing of a loved one be valuable to them in their spiritual growth? We cannot understand these things with our rational minds because these matters are of a spiritual nature. Suffice it to say that our lives are part of a much bigger picture than we can fathom. Often, clients ask if a loved one felt pain at the time of a fatal impact. In most cases, a spirit blacks out and does not remember. Spirits frequently comment that they see the crushed vehicle and wonder what poor person has been killed. Not until they recognize their own lifeless form do they realize that they have suffered the experience. When spirits first realize their own death, they may be quite upset, to say the least, especially if they still feel very much alive. When death by accident occurs, and a spirit is literally thrown out of talking to heaven 105, its body, a relative, good friend, or guide will usually be nearby to assist the newcomer through the death transition. The newcomer soon understands that there is life in spirit form. It looks down at its spirit body and realizes it looks identical to its former physical body. Sometimes a spirit may wake up in a hospital, which is not the same as a hospital on earth, and be greeted by a relative or dear friend who welcomes the spirit and informs it of its passing by way of an accident. One must realize that with any death, especially a sudden one, a spirit might need further help and understanding to acclimatize itself to a new environment. Thank God there are those beautiful souls who assist them. On earth we would refer to these souls as social workers or therapists because, like them, spiritual helpers mentally assist the newly arrived into an unfamiliar environment. When I work with bereaved parents, they often say that the loss of a child is the worst experience one can ever have in life. No one is ever prepared for a child's death. The grieving parents inevitably blame themselves for the child's death, as if they were responsible or able to prevent it. But only God has that power. As you will see in the following reading, a child tries to reassure his mother that he is fine and that she should not feel responsible for his death. By James Van Praagh. 106 words of love, laughter, and intimate information, a child seeks to comfort his mother. When the reading was over, I noticed a complete change in the mother. She was no longer crying. Boy on the motorcycle. This particular reading occurred at the home of a sitter. 8 people were in the group. I had never met the people there, nor had I known anything about those they wanted to contact. After 3 readings, I suddenly turned my head to the left side of the room and noticed a lady sitting on the couch. She was crying. "May I come to you?" I asked. She looked over and hesitantly replied, "Yes, that's fine. There is a young blonde man who has been sitting on the couch with you all night. Is this someone you recognize?" "Yes, I believe so. He tells me his name is Stephen." "Do you understand the name?" The woman breaks down in tears and exclaims, "Yes, yes, I do. He is my son." I continued, "He seems to have an excellent sense of humor and a hearty laugh. Does this make sense?" "Yes, that's right. Talking to Heaven." 107. His sense of humor is dry and a bit cutting, if you know what I mean. The woman shakes her head in the affirmative. She smiles slightly as she becomes aware that she is really communicating with her son. He says hello to Diane, and something about her knowing about a party. Diane was his girlfriend. The woman thought about the reference to a party and could not make a connection. Suddenly, she exclaimed, "Oh, my God! Diane was at a party with him the night he died. They were at a friend's party. He is showing me a motorcycle on a slippery road. Do you understand?" "Yes," she replied. "He goes around a bend very quickly and then down a hill. You know, he was a little bit tipsy when he was on this motorcycle." The woman continues to nod her head as she listens. "What does Greenleaf mean, please?" "He shows me a sign with this name on it." The woman replied, "That is the name of the street where he had the accident." "I see. He is now showing me a dark blue car. Did his motorcycle skid into this blue vehicle?" James Van Praagh. 108. "Yes, it did. Stephen was thrown from the bike and went under the car." She breaks down. "Stephen wants you to know he loved the yearbook picture of himself with the beautiful inscription underneath it." "That's right. We actually have a copy of it hanging in the living room. He wants you to know something very important. He says you have been carrying around a lot of guilt for his death, and that is wrong. You were not responsible. Well, if I had called him that night, he might not have gone to that party. Stephen says he would have gone anyway, you know that. He always did what he wanted." "Yes, he did," the woman replied. "He's right. I guess there was no way of my preventing the accident. I just feel so bad that there was nothing I could do." "Yes, but do you understand it wasn't your fault?" "Yes, I see now, thank you." She bowed her head and continued listening to the rest of the reading. Stephen mentioned several evidential items that his mother knew his father and sister would recognize. Up until that point it was a standard reading. The information that followed was both intriguing. Talking to Heaven. 109 and quite incredible. Stephen turned out to be a medium's best friend. He was a great communicator and was able to describe details through a fun-loving personality. Stephen says to say hello to all his friends. God, he had a lot. Yes, he did. Do you know if his friends had their own funeral service for him? I asked. No, I don't think so. I mean, they put flowers at the accident site, but I don't think. Quote, he is showing me the initials JD, and someone giving a toast. I don't know what the heck it means. The woman started to laugh, and screamed out, "Oh, yes, some of his buddies climbed over the fence of the cemetery and left a Jack Daniels bottle on top of his grave. I guess you can call it sort of a service." Everyone in the room laughed and then went over and gave this woman a hug. Stephen assured her that he would be around all the time and, to be cool with it all. His mother looked toward the ceiling and started to talk to Stephen herself. Not only was she able to accept his death, but she was free of the irrational guilt. She was also happy to know that her son was still seeing her every move. James Van Praagh 110. The cheerleader. Just like on the earth, when certain things bother us, we feel we need resolution. In spirit, we are the same. When we pass over to the spirit world, we exist based on thoughts and actions of our earth life. If we did something of which we were ashamed when we were in physical form, a negative feeling or condition might stay within our consciousness for a long time. If we die with unresolved issues, we cannot rest peacefully or spiritually progress until our earthly issues have been resolved. One of the rewards of doing my work is helping a spirit seek and receive forgiveness for some wrongdoing. A spirit is then free of its negative tie and can move forward in its growth on the other side of life. As I mentioned previously, many times I will bring in unexpected spirits. When this is the case, there is something very important a spirit needs to convey to a client. In the following instance, a spirit is an old high school friend who wants forgiveness for past actions. During a group meeting late one Saturday evening, just before I was about to close the session, I was directed to two women and a man sitting across from me on the couch. I knew somehow they were all linked together. I directed my questioning to the woman in the middle. Talking to Heaven 111, "Excuse me, may I come to you?" "Yes," she replied. "There is a young woman here about your age. She feels to me to be a bit disturbed about something, like something is worrying her." "Do you know the name of Stacy?" "Yes, I went to school with her. She died in a very sudden manner. She is showing me glass and blood and then points to her head. She was not prepared for her death. Does this make sense?" Yes, it does. I was thinking about her while sitting here. She says she wouldn't miss this for the world. I must tell you, I think Stacy was a party girl." "Yes, she was. I get a feeling that she was very popular at school, and the number one guest on the party circuit." Everyone began to laugh. Before she died, her head felt very fuzzy as if she was drugged or drunk. I see her in a car. There was an impact to her head. I see lots of glass and blood. I think she was in a car accident, and I'm sorry to say, but I do feel she went through the windshield. Both girls began to cry out, "That is right. She tells me this happened at an intersection." James Van Praagh 112. She was at a party, and she says she got pretty fucked up. "Yes. She tells me she knows both of you. Is that correct?" "Yes, it is. We all went to school together." I now directed my questions to Julie, the other woman on the couch. "She is showing me a picture of the three of you. Do you have the picture she is referring to?" "Yeah, I was just looking at it. This is weird. Now, she is showing me something like sports outfits. I'm not sure if they are for football or something to do with varsity. She shows me a letter on a sweater." Julie responded, "We were all cheerleaders together in school. I was looking at a picture of us as cheerleaders. The three of us were wearing our uniforms. The uniforms have a letter in the middle." I wiped my brow and breathed a sigh of relief. I was happy that they understood the information. I continued, "She always wanted to be a mother." "That's right. She would talk about having a family, and all the things they would do together. She wants me to tell you that she is taking care of children where she is. She is like a social worker, and she loves it." Talking to Heaven 113. The two women nodded their heads and smiled. Suddenly, Stacy's mood began to change. "This is very strange. She is giving me a sense of heaviness and is beginning to cry. She is very upset about how she treated both of you. She is telling me, forgive my French, that she was a bitch to you guys." They both shook their heads yes. "She tells me that she broke off her friendship with you because she wanted to be with friends who were more popular at school and connected to the in crowd. She says that she was a jealous person and started arguments between people. She always wanted to be the center of attention. Did you gals stop speaking to her for a while?" "Yeah, that's right. We didn't speak to her for the few months before she died. She wants me to tell you she is very sorry. She was wrong, and is asking you to please forgive her for how she behaved. She says she was always so obsessed with being the most popular person in school that she overlooked the feelings of others. It was a stupid thing to do. The girls began to cry. Will you please forgive her? She has been very bothered by the way she has behaved. Yes, of course we do, said Julie. She wants you to know she feels your hurt. James Van Praagh 114 has experienced her own treatment of you and hates what she did. The girls wiped their tears. Julie, did you and the young man next to you get married over the summer? Yes, in August. Did you think that it would have been nice to have Stacy as one of your bridesmaids? Yes, we were both thinking of that. That is so weird. She is showing me a pink dress, and her hair tied up in a pink ribbon. Julie yelled out, "Oh, my God, pink was the color of the bridesmaids' dresses. Everyone had a pink ribbon in her hair." I went on. Stacy says to tell you that she was a part of your wedding in spirit. She says, "Did you think you could have a party without me around?" With that remark, everyone laughed and thanked Stacy for coming. Stacy, in turn, thanked her friends for their undying love and forgiveness. At that moment, I saw Stacy go over and hug each girl, then turn around and smile at me as an acknowledgement of her gratitude. Slowly, she disappeared into the ethers. The group took a couple of minutes to acknowledge the incredible experience and the feeling of peace and love they all felt. It is important to understand that we continue to talking to heaven 115 have opportunities to change our attitudes and behavior once we leave our physical bodies. If someone was mean and unkind when alive, as Stacy admitted, that person may have a new awareness of herself on the other side. She saw how she misbehaved on the earth and also realized that she was given many opportunities on earth to convey love, but instead she chose to be troublesome. With this realization comes understanding and a wish to be forgiven. The most common request from the spirit people in most of my readings is one of forgiveness. It is not only healing for the spirit to be sorry for earthly wrongdoing, but it is an inspiration to those still on earth to begin to resolve any problems or upsets with other people. Spirit people want us to start living a life free of judgment and prejudice. The spirit
Soulmate, this is a part of Zindagi Ki Roshni consultancy. It has been established for those who have lost someone and for those who are very sad in their life. About 100 PDF books and 20 short audio books of this topic will be sent to those who join it. This data will be sent to their email or WhatsApp. If you want to join this organization, then please send WhatsApp message to this number.